Hello, this is Greg Allison from Green Grays coming to you on the 5th of December 2020 with news of plenty. Because I've got to ask you, has Iran just struck back at Israel for the assassination of Moshen Fakhirzadeh, their nuclear scientist? Yes, something has happened. In fact, a Mossad commander has just been hit as of Friday, east of Tel Aviv. So we're going to go into that. But even more interesting than that may be who is not reporting it and who is. There's some odd stuff going on here. So we're going to go there and we're going to analyze that. And as usual, we're going to talk about what it means to you, because there's a proposition in this channel to help you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. And in that keeping, I'll bring you news, keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. And so I refer to many of my followers as swivel heads because we try to stay aware so that we can be prepared. Don't be scared, be prepared. That's our philosophy. I always hope and pray for the best and prepare for the worst. All right. And along that line, to get to many things I tell you and bring to you about news like this, about how you can prepare through growing your own food. I show you how to grow food indoors in microgreens. I've got many old videos on that. I'll be returning to that soon. And I show you how to grow outdoors without having to buy junk from the stores. Yes, they're used like maybe worm farming, and I do worm farming videos, and I have worm farms, and I'll be selling worms again next spring. So all that said, I also teach you how to eat from the wild. So it's not just stuff that you got to buy and prepare for. I show you how to go out, and I'll be showing other stuff from other areas in the country soon on this. Mostly it's been southeastern stuff I've been showing, but look out, I'm going to be showing southwest real soon. I do think. Now, all that said, right now I do have a special for you. It's a special $100 off a 4-week supply of 2,000 calorie per day food. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Get it, you'll be a winner. This is go to prepwithgreg.com and you get, like I said, real food. It is lightweight because it is freeze dried. So you can see how I toss that thing around. That is half of what you will get. You get 2 of those, and the buckets are great too. Let me show you real fast. I'll just roll this channel. Go to prepwithgreg.com. It looks just like this. Oh, there's a timer on the special here, and check it out. It's real food, and this is the kind of stuff you get, and it includes desserts and drinks, and they also have many other things in here, including meats, specials, and things like that. So, and get yours. I got mine, but oh, by the way, you get other prepping supplies here too. Bing. Click in there. It takes you into survival items, water filtration, air purification, emergency survival foods of many kinds. So you have the meat protein kits. I got me one of those too, by the way. Great stuff. And hopefully I'll be showing you about cooking stuff like in not too distant future. Oh, Christmas gifts. Ho, ho, ho. Yes. All righty. So let's get into the story here. What's happening? What's going on? It's highly peculiar. This whole thing, I just did a video on this, and so to have to do another one back to back, it's a little much, but it's like a roller coaster, and it just keeps coming and going. So what's really happening here? As I said, as I asked, has Iran struck back at Israel for taking their key nuclear scientist, Moshen Fakhirzadeh? I have to think about it sometimes. Fakhirzadeh. And in fact, what's happened is a Mossad commander was assassinated on a road just east of Tel Aviv, riddled with bullets, similar to what happened to Fakhirzadeh east of the capital city in Iran, Tehran. This guy taken, well, what was considered originally the capital city of Israel, Tel Aviv, which we now look at Jerusalem as the capital city of Israel. But all that said, the individual was, forgive me if I get the name wrong. This one's a little tricky name for me. Fahmy al-Hinnawi. Fahmy al-Hinnawi. Yeah, it's Hinnawi. But he was taken out Friday night on a highway just east of Tel Aviv, riddled with bullets, as I said. And he was considered to be the person in charge of one of the key people, one of the primary players in the pursuit of what was going on with the Iranian nuclear weapons program. So he was one of the key guys in the Mossad who was on top of that, and he got hit. Now, the interesting thing is that there's a lot of dispute about who actually took out Fakhirzadeh. There's some that's speculating that it was actually the Saudi Arabians. I mean, I tell you, the story just got a lot of twists and turns. As you know, or may know, there's a lot of tension between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Some you say, oh, they're all Muslim. Oh, they're very different. You know, the Iranians are Shia Muslims, and the people in Saudi Arabia, or at least the leadership and the main Saudi population, are Sunni Muslim. And there's a big division between these, and it's reflected through much of the Mid East. You'll find a lot of Shia in Iraq, although Saddam Hussein was Sunni, and you'll find a lot of Shia in many places actually, but most of the Mid East seems to be predominantly Sunni. I'm sure some people try to take a counterpoint with that. Syria is predominantly Shia, as is Hezbollah. So it's, there's a big mix in all this stuff as to who's what. And those tensions would probably be there even if they were all the same branch of the Muslim faith, because there's other dimensions to the tensions between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and they're both vying to as is Turkey, to control the Islamic world. But it's an interesting conundrum there, because the oddball thing is who's reporting this story and who isn't. And we're talking about a major hit of retaliation, and it's not even being covered. Apparently, I've just checked again. Now this has been over 24 hours, and I've checked our American news sources, crickets. Check Israeli news sources, crickets. But this is covered. It's on YouTube, of course, but it's covered in the Egyptian news. It's covered in Saudi news. Oh, it's not covered in, I didn't see it on Press TV though, which is the Iranian news. But it's Saudi, Egyptian, and I found it even in Russian news sources. Russia, the Egyptians, the Saudis, they're all talking about it. But crickets in Israel, Iran, and the United States. Highly peculiar. Is this some game going on? What is happening here? That's just odd. There were first-hand accounts of this that were tweeted, a video actually on the site. So from within Israel by Israelis, but you won't find it in Israeli news, main Israeli news sources, at least the ones I've went to. I'm not seeing anything. Now it's covered in by several YouTube channels, not typically your prepper sort. Many of you may follow Israeli News Live. Steve Ben-Nun, he covers this, but and he did it a few hours ago. But I'm not seeing it in so many other spots, and I find that highly peculiar. And I think that's as much a part of the story as anything else. There's gamemanship going on here. There's a lot of stuff happening, and what does it mean? As Elliot Abrams, who's big Republican booster and advisor in the United States and the GOP world, funder, putting a lot of money and stuff. He actually said prior to this that Iran's not going to do anything. So he didn't expect Iran to do anything at all. He said the reason for that was that Iran was so desperate to get the sanctions lifted that they would lay low until Biden got elected president and try to appeal to him, and so they wouldn't make a move. Well, Mr. Abrams, you might have just missed something there, Mr. Expert. You might have blown that, because it looks like something may have just happened. Again, maybe it's a false flag. Maybe somebody else did it. Because as I reported in my last video, I said that the Iranians had said that we know who did this. And they kind of made it out like they would react appropriately to scale. Well, taking out a key person who was involved in taking out their person might be the scale. But guys, the whole question is, it's on a lot of people's mind is this going to erupt into a larger war? Well, quite frankly, between the United States and Russia, for example, during the Cold War, we fought with proxies. North Korea, North Vietnam, and there were occasionally Russian MiGs involved in some of that. We find out later, especially in North Korea, and some American POWs got taken to Russia during the Korean War. But and there was, an occasional incident, Russian shoots American, American shoots Russian, little border mishaps. I mean, just very minuscule type. And then we had a lot of very close calls of full-blown nuclear warfare, way too many. Another topic to return to in the not too distant future. We have a lot of, I've talked about that in reference to countries that are right next to each other, but even with the superpowers, the time span with hypersonic weapons is diminishing. So the prospects get bigger as we go forward if we don't find some road to peace. But in any event, I'm digressing here, aren't I? Highly digressing. So the question I was about to get to is, what does this mean in terms of warfare between Israel and Iran? I would submit they're already in a much harder war than the U.S. was with our Cold War, at least in terms of direct action, because Israel has been bombing the devil out of Iranian sites in Syria. They're more reachable. They've been Syrians soldiers and Iranian soldiers. Iran typically don't report their fatalities, but Syria has been, and there's been civilian fatalities in this. But what happens is, somebody leaves some IEDs, unexploded IEDs in Golan Heights, and Israel responds by major airstrikes. So how does Israel respond to their Mossad commander getting taken out? More major airstrikes, something bigger? Does it ratchet up? I mean, look at this. What I'm getting at is they're already in conflict, and it's not just in Syria. There have been a spate of mystery explosions in Tehran all through the summer, and this might be just this thing where they took out Fakhirzadeh may have just been one more step in that echelon of events taking place. So you could say, and also even with Saudi Arabia and doesn't recognize Israel as of yet. As you know, there was a peace deal with Qatar and Bahrain that was brokered under the Trump administration, where they recognized Israel, and Saudi Arabia claims they will do so if this Palestinian state gets set up and established. That's their linchpin to recognizing Israel. Now, all that said, they're pretty much on the same side of what's going on vis-a-vis Iran. So even though they don't recognize each other, they're practically allies in whatever's happening here. Maybe allies of discomfort, and when we had our conflict with Germany in World War II, the United States and Russia were allies. Absolutely. In fact, my old base of Fort Greely, Alaska, was built. The airfield there was set up to supply the Soviet Union supplies to help fight the Germans during World War II. How about that? It was the jumping off point to get stuff to Russia. In a land the U.S. bought from Russia, which Russia kind of covets sometimes. Yeah, they'll be hard pressed to hold their own against the Chinese in that distant future. It's a whole other story. But that's why I say that we ought to make peace with Russia and face China, and hopefully, maybe we can find some way just to broadcast enough love to end all this stuff. That's what we need to work on. But in the meantime, we got a lot to deal with. A lot's going on. Like I said, there already is a low intensity war. It already exists. There is a low intensity war. Will it ratchet up? Will it escalate? What's going to come next? I tell you what, I can't even get it out of this crystal ball. But thinking things through helps illuminate things quite a bit as to what might be coming or what could come. But it's anybody's guess. It's anybody's guess. Like I said in my previous video, there are tensions pulling in each country with each player in different directions in these matters. Like Iran, you got your parliament, you got your ayatollahs who really run the country, Ayatollah Khomeini, and you've got the supreme leader. But there's the president Rouhani, there's the legislature, and there's him. So, and they each are pulling a little bit different. And you got the people there. A lot of people there don't want any part of that government, and some of them are pulling in other directions. And that may be why there's so many mystery explosions, and the Mossad seems to be able to operate with impunity within Iran. And it might be our hope that Iran will one day have a democratically elected government like the one we overthrew. Maybe not the same government, but something along those lines, at least leadership of their choosing that they can elect from time to time, other than having, well, I don't know. That's a whole nother discussion. I know a lot of people in Iran would like to have that. It seems that there was an attempted color revolution there during the Obama administration, but they didn't support that one. Strangely, however, they support all the other ones. You know, it's highly curious to me as to why they would support. Well, another question, whole different topic. So, what we need to know, the takeaway here is this. Some of the possibilities here is that this escalates, that Iran has in a military doctrine. See, if Israel does something, you know, they've already said they consider Israel to be a mercenary for the United States. That's what al-Hinnawi said, the president of Iran. And that's thought by a lot of those people. So if we do anything, they're likely to retaliate against the United States in some fashion if they can. And their doctrine says if they get into the United States, they take out our power grid. They have hackers. They have, according to their own admission, sleeper cells in the United States that are staged to take out 20 of our critical substations, and it's deemed at 9 is all it will take to take out the entire power grid in the United States, which is a very significant hit to our country that could bring us to our knees in such a way that we may not get back up. See my video on the consequences if you don't believe that. It's horrendous. We're talking, you know, scales of things worse than what we think about for, in many cases, a war of nuclear proportion. It would be horrendous if we lose our power grid. We're so critically dependent upon it. Let's hope that don't happen. Now, all that said, there is another way that might happen. As I reported previously, oh yeah, supposedly one of the things that Mr. Famir Hinnawi, however you say his name, brought out. Apparently, the Mossad got somebody into the organizations there in Iran and actually recorded Moshen Fakhirzadeh as he was telling that he was actively involved in developing 5 nuclear weapons. Of course, the reports that came out in 2018 from Netanyahu was talking about they had the 3 programs I mentioned in the previous video that were developing 6. And according to reports I have, they've had 2 all along. Well, ever since the Soviet Union fell from Kazakhstan. And it just so happens, my friend, fellow YouTuber, and also partner in the Freedom Restoration Foundation, Stacy Zavicki, had the vision in which she was shown that there was an attack by 2 of these things from somebody, 2 missiles, she didn't know who it was from, off the shore of Venezuela. Okay, Venezuela wasn't attacked. No, of course not. That's the whole purpose of going off the shore from Venezuela is totally deniable, since Iran, North Korea, Russia, and China are all 4 heavily involved in that unstable country that can't even manage things inside the country, let alone offshore. I had long ago thought that would be the most deniable way to hit the United States with an attack like this. Who did it? Who did it? Could Iran do it? Could they? Well, it just so happens we're sending a big shipment of something, including petroleum. They have a flotilla of ships. They're supposed to be taking petroleum right now to Venezuela. And you might recall, I've talked about the Changchun gang, the stamp chamber from North Korea, which was running around the Gulf of Mexico and Caribbean Sea prior to going through the Panama Canal, that had 2 fully erect missiles on missile launchers and their crates underneath bags of sugar. And for all we know, they had that stuff set up while they were running around the Gulf just to see if they could do it. Don't know. Yay. So, will that happen? Stacy's dream was that we could repent and spare ourselves. Revival. Well, my friends, it might be a short time. Oh, by the way, Dr. Paul Begley sees the 21st of this month as doomsday, as the Mayan doomsday. I should do a video specifically on that. One, I'll laugh. Hey, what are you laughing for? Well, okay, I'm just not too concerned about it, okay? It'd be wrong, because it just so happens that is winter solstice, and that is the day that we get the Christmas star of the coincidence of Jupiter and Saturn. Once again, which is believed to have been the star that brought the Magi to Bethlehem. So is that it? It's been hundreds of years since it happened. It'll be hundreds of years since it happened until it happens again, coinciding with the Mayan doomsday. And this crazy year 2020 could be a harbinger. Is it a harbinger? What's coming, guys? Well, all I know is get ready. Don't be scared. Be prepared. That's what I talk about. So check my links below. You can also grow food in your house. Good place to go for that kind of stuff is my Patriot Supply Great Seeds. They tell you when you buy the stuff how to grow it, and I got videos on all that stuff too. So check my videos out and just get ready. Be ready for the worst. Prepare for the worst and hope and pray for the best. Hey, I just spent a bunch of money on air conditioning going on top of a trailer. If the power goes out, I won't be able to use it. I don't want to grow microgreens in it. So I am hoping. I do have hope, but I am preparing too. And I urge you to do the same, because we don't know what's going to come. We just don't know. But the prospects are huge that a lot of things could happen. There's so much tension in the world today. China, Russia, U.S., Taiwan, South China Sea, Iran, Israel, Pakistan, India, China. Holy smoke, guys. Yeah. Just get ready. Be ready for whatever happens. The more ready you are, the less concerned you got to be. With that, my friends, I would say, just so I know you watch it this far, I said, Greg, I wish my crystal ball would show me the future. I didn't say mine did. It's a toy. So people think these are great and wonderful, right? That's pretty. I get strange gifts sometimes. It's pretty. It's cute. It makes a good talking aid. It does. Maybe one day I'll see something in there. Not getting it yet. But anyway, my friends, with all that, I'm going to say thank you for watching.